The headlines: 20 killed in fresh Benue attacks. Court sentences Kanomo's arsonist to death by hanging. FCTA seals off PDP Secretariat, FIRS, others over ground rent. And on the foreign scene, Ghana shuts down embassy in Washington, D.C. over corruption scandal. Hello there, good evening and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Benue State, where more than 20 people, including a two-year-old child, have been killed in a wave of fresh attacks on Aundana and neighboring communities in Gwa West local government area of the state. Chairman of the council, Omin Tosa Victor, confirmed the incident in a distressing video on social media, lamenting the federal government's silence in the face of relentless violence. Tosa said the attacks spread across multiple villages, including Tiawabiana, a community located near a military base, yet no security response was recorded during the assault. He described the slaughter of an entire household, including a father and his two adult sons, who were laid to rest just a day earlier. With tears in his eyes, the chairman warned that the continuing attacks are pushing his people to a breaking point, saying the psychological burden is now unbearable.
I mean, they don't have the mandate to engage these people. That it is only the federal government that can give them the mandate to engage these people. So my people should be killed. My people should die all before government will talk about this. What is the meaning of this? Yesterday I buried 5 people, a father and 2 of his sons of over 40, 50 years in Tiawabiana, very close to a military base. What is the meaning of this? If they cannot help me, maybe I will leave this position as chairman and let it continue the way it is. I don't care about being a chairman of a local government of the people that are all killed. What is the meaning of this? Look at the child of 2 years old, butchered with cutlass. How many people? We're talking of no less than 20 people that were killed in Aundana village. This is the village of the former first lady of this state, Mrs. Eunice Otom. This is the village of the Togwe. This is the village of the Bishop Banagbe. This is fucking too much for me to condone. And I tell you, whatever will happen, will happen. Thank you.
Distressing pictures there from Benue State over the recent attacks. Now, an explosion suspected to have been caused by a bomb on Monday killed 1 person in Abuja. Another person was reportedly injured in the explosion that was said to be triggered by an improvised explosive device. Now, a military source says the man, believed to be a suicide bomber, was killed by an explosive contained in a rubber can close to the Mogadishu barrack in Abuja. However, military authorities present at the scene says the situation could be an explosion from a mobile phone device and not an IED. At the time of this report, personnel of the military, DSS, police, and officers of the National Emergency Management Agency were still taking inventory of the situation.
See, there is a standstill. People cannot go to the barracks. And when I just spoke to these security guys, they said there is a suicide bomber who wants to kill himself or something. They are trying to remove the bombs from him. So look at them there. So everybody needs to be security conscious. Everybody needs to be security conscious, please.
Staying with developments in security, residents of 6 communities in Kachia local government area of Kaduna State are living in fear following the emergence of a suspected terrorist group identified as a faction of the Lakurawa terrorist organization. The affected communities include Amale, Gidan Danfulani, Bakin Garma, Legede, Gidan Ladan, Gidan Auta and Kamari. A community leader who spoke on the condition of anonymity to journalists says he has confirmed that the group set up camp 2 weeks ago along the Nario River, which links to Katari on the Abuja-Kaduna highway. He says the terrorists arrived in large numbers on motorcycles through Rijana village and were received by bandits already camped along the riverbanks. Following the development, many residents have now fled their homes for fear of possible abductions. As of the time of filing this report, the Kaduna State Police Command has yet to issue an official statement on the matter. The southeast region of Nigeria has suffered an estimated economic loss of over 7.6 trillion naira due to continued sit-at-home protests within just 2 months, according to a new report by SBM Intelligence. The report, titled 4 Years of Disruption, Unmasking the Impact of IPOB's sit-at-home order in the southeast, highlights a revenue decline of 50 to 70% in the region's commercial activities, a blow that has deeply affected local businesses, supply chains, and household livelihoods. Since the indigenous people of Biafra launched the order back in August of 2021 as a protest demanding the release of their detained leader, Nnamdi Kanu, the Monday shutdowns have taken root, causing widespread disruptions in the southeast. Business districts such as Onitsha Main Market and Ariaria International Market in Aba have been repeatedly grounded, paralyzing regional trade and impacting the broader Nigerian economy. The report also notes that over 700 people have died in violence linked to the protests between 2021 and 2025, with Imo State recording the highest number of incidents, while Ebonyi reported the least. An Upper Sharia court in Kano has sentenced Shafiu Abubakar to death by hanging for setting a mosque on fire during early morning prayers in Gadam village in Gezawa local government area of the state. Now, the incident, which occurred on May 15, 2024, claimed the lives of 23 persons. 11 worshippers died on the spot, while the 12 others later succumbed to their severe burns at the Murtala Muhammad Specialist Hospital. The court found Abubakar guilty of deliberately causing the tragedy, which prosecutors linked to a domestic dispute rather than a terrorism activity or political motivated activity. Ahmad Dati sent in this report from Kano.
The judge, Halhalatul Huzai Zakaria, found the mosque arsonist guilty of all the 4-count charge of culpable homicide, attempt to commit homicide, causing grievous injury, and mischief by fire, contrary to the provisions of Section 143, 148, and 370 of the Sharia Legal Code of Kano State 2000. The court also ordered 150 lashes and a fine of 1,500 naira against the convict who will forfeit his tricycle to the Kano State government, the proceeds of which should be used to repair the damaged mosques. The prosecution presented 7 witnesses, including Abdulaziz Yahaya, the village head of Garden, and ASP Abdullah Hisajo Adamawa, a police officer attached to the Geza police station. The court, however, discountenanced the testimonies of 5 witnesses.
We are very much satisfied with the judgment of this Honorable Court, Upper Sharia Court Regent Zaki, because at least we have paraded 4 reliable witnesses, out of which court accepted 2 witnesses. And under Islamic law, the minimum requirement or the minimum witnesses to at least to confirm the guilt of the accused person, where he is or he was charged with the offense of culpable homicide, are 2. And at least we have 2. Apart from other documentary evidences which we have tendered, and they are all admitted in evidence. So at least we are very much satisfied, even though we have our own reservation with regard to some other witnesses. But at least we are very, very much okay with the judgment of the court, because at least the highest punishment is for the accused person to be sentenced to death, and the court sentenced him to death by hanging.
counsel for the convict pleaded with the court to transfer him to the Kurmawa Correctional Facility.
The reason he doesn't want to stay at that prison is that he has spent a long time there, close to 1 year, so he just wants a change. There is no problem, it's just that there are less inmates in the prison he requested.
The judge, relying on Section 395, subsection 2B of the Administration of Criminal Justice Law of Kano State 2019, and other authorities in the Maliki School of Law, says the sentence should serve as justice to the victims of the crime. Ahmad Datti, Trust TV News, Kano.
In other news, angry youths set part of the Irano Divisional Police Station ablaze on Monday following the death of a young man identified as Abdullahi Musa while in police custody. Musa was arrested on Sunday for an alleged traffic offense and died during interrogation, triggering widespread outrage in the community. What began as a peaceful protest escalated into violence, with protesters torching parts of the station and setting police vehicles on fire. Tensions flared further when police officers reportedly opened fire on demonstrators, leaving 2 of the demonstrators injured. Now, the Kano State Police spokesperson, Superintendent of Police Abdullahi Haruna, confirmed this development, adding that the Commissioner of Police and local government chairman in the area had visited the area to calm the frayed nerves. Officials of the Federal Capital Territory Administration on Monday sealed off the national headquarters of the People's Democratic Party PDP in Abuja. At exactly 2 p.m., FCTA personnel arrived at Wadata Plaza, located in Wuse Zone 5, and locked the main entrance of the party's National Secretariat. The action comes days after the FCTA announced plans to recover over 4,700 properties affected by title revocations for non-payment of ground rents, some are standing for over 4 decades. The PDP headquarters is among the high-profile buildings targeted in this enforcement drive.
Okay. So why not do it?
Well, in the wake of the sealing of Wadata Plaza, a high-profile caucus meeting of the People's Democratic Party is underway at the Bauchi State Lodge in Abuja. The meeting, originally scheduled for 7 p.m. at the party's National Secretariat, was relocated following the Federal Capital Territory Administration's enforcement action over outstanding ground rent. The PDP caucus includes sitting governors, National Assembly members, Board of Trustees, as well as former presidents and vice presidents. The party's board BOT meeting, earlier planned to hold at Wadata Plaza, was aborted due to the party's secretariat closure. Details of the ongoing caucus will, of course, be brought to you in the subsequent bulletin.
But this person will not allow
Well, as part of its intensified enforcement on defaulted ground rent payments, the Federal Capital Territory Administration has sealed the premises of Access Bank, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Ibro Hotel, and Total PLC in Abuja. The operation, led by the Director of Development Control, Mukhtar Galadima, targeted properties revoked over decades of non-compliance, with over 4,700 titles affected. Speaking during the sealing of Total PLC, Galadima disclosed that the property had accumulated more than 10 years of outstanding ground rent, prompting its revocation in March this year. Access Bank's branch on plot 2456 in Wuse, which sits on land owned by Rana Tahar Furniture Nigeria Limited, was also sealed for owing 34 years in ground rent. The enforcement is expected to move to the Central Business District next, as the FCTA warns property owners to clear outstanding debts or face similar actions.
Hello. Wait, it's not fighting. Wait, wait now. Come on, wait. I said, don't be fighting, madam. Don't beat us now. Don't be fighting, madam. Wait. I said, get out.
Well, in a reaction, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has slammed the Federal Capital Territory Administration for shutting down one of its offices in Abuja, describing the action as, quote, malicious and unprofessional. In a statement shared on X, Arabirim Aderonke Atoebi, the technical assistant on broadcast media to the FIR's chairman, accused the Wike-led FCTA of unfairly targeting the agency. The Federal Inland Revenue Service insisted it has cleared all rent obligations up to 2023 and has no outstanding debt for the past 25 years, rejecting claims used to justify the sealing of the office. Now, the incident comes amid pending tax reform bills, raising concerns that such disruptions could affect public confidence and delay policy implementation. Experts have warned that tensions between federal agencies could hurt service delivery and worsen interagency relations. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Speaker of the House of Representatives withdraws mandatory voting bill amid national controversy. More on this and many other stories up ahead in just a moment. Right, welcome back to the news. Let's take a second look at our top stories. 20 people killed in fresh attacks in Benue State. Kano Court sentences mosque arsonist to death by hanging. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has withdrawn the controversial compulsory voting bill following widespread criticism and consultations with key stakeholders in the country. In a statement released on Monday, his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Abdullahi Krishi, says the bill, which was co-sponsored by Representative Daniel Adama Agowas, was initially meant to boost civic engagement and encourage voter turnout. Speaker Abbas, however, says that while the intention to strengthen democracy was genuine, any reform must also reflect public sentiment and individual freedoms. He said going forward, he would pursue innovative voluntary strategies to encourage electoral participation without compulsion, adding that lawmaking must ultimately reflect the will of the people. Saudi authorities have deported prominent Kaduna-based Islamic scholar Sheikh Ahmad Gumi and barred him from participating in this year's Hajj pilgrimage. This was confirmed via his official Facebook page on Monday through a post. Sheikh Gumi says he was denied entry into Medina despite holding a valid visa for the pilgrimage. The scholar, who was part of a NACON-sponsored delegation of clerics assigned to offer religious services during the pilgrimage, arrived in Saudi Arabia on Saturday night aboard an Umza air flight. Upon landing around 10 p.m. Saudi time, he was stopped by Saudi immigration officials and later deported without being allowed to enter the city. Sheikh Gumi expressed appreciation to the Nigerian authorities, who he says have promised to intervene with the Saudi government over the matter. Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintri of Adamawa State has raised concerns over the growing number of children in the state who have not received any form of immunization against preventable diseases. The governor's remarks were delivered by his deputy, Professor Kaletapua Farota, at the 2025 first biannual meeting of primary healthcare with traditional rulers held at the banquet hall of the government house in Yola. Trust TV's Gibson Swadigo reports.
The meeting, convened by the Adamawa State Minister of Health and Human Services, in collaboration with the State Primary Health Care Development Agency, brought together traditional rulers and other stakeholders to discuss ways to strengthen the state's health system, especially the role of rural fathers in advancing health care access in their communities. Commissioner for Health, Chief Felix Tangomi, attributed the state's recent health gains to the strong backing of the Fintry administration. He pointed to the procurement of CT scan machines and other critical medical infrastructure as evidence to the government's commitment to improving health care system.
The government has been very, very supportive to ensure that these programs succeed. And the only way we can reciprocate this is to ensure also that we become committed. And that is why we have to hold this meeting. It is not only happening in Adamawa, it happens in every state.
The executive chairman of the State Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Suleiman Saidu Bashir, urged participants to implement the outcomes of the meeting to boost health care access and improve citizen well-being.
Considering the critical role played by our traditional leaders, royal fathers here present, and also leveraging on their structures to see how we project improve the health and well-being of the people of our respective states, Adamawa State.
Governor Fintry, through his deputy, reiterated the administration's zero-tolerance stance on any lapses that could undermine the health care objectives. He lamented the reoccurrence of vaccine-preventable diseases such as measles, despite routine immunization efforts, and vowed that the government will not relent in addressing the gaps.
Beyond reviewing our immunization campaign and the rising disease burden, we are here to forge a stronger alliance, one that will place traditional institutions at the center of primary healthcare system, strengthening governance and accountability.
Traditional leaders and development partners in attendance pledge continuous support to improve primary health care outcomes and affirm their commitment to achieving universal health coverage in the state. Gibson Soadugu, Trust TV News, Yola.
Talking business now, the federal government says the Tinubu administration's policy shift towards local value addition and stricter licensing in the solid minerals sector has attracted over $800 million in new processing projects in 2024. According to a statement by presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga, the sector generated 38 billion naira in revenue last year, a significant jump from 6 billion naira recorded in 2023, despite receiving only 18% of its 29 billion naira allocation. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, disclosed this during a feature interview for a State House documentary marking President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's second year in office. He highlighted major investments, including a $600 million lithium plant on the Kaduna-Niger border to be commissioned this quarter, a $200 million lithium refinery nearing completion near Abuja, and 2 more facilities slated for launch in Nasarawa State by the third quarter of 2025. In the first quarter this year, the Mining Cadastral Office and Mines Inspectorate generated 6.9 billion naira and 7 billion naira respectively, reflecting a surge in regulatory compliance and investor confidence. Now to developments on the international scene. Ghana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okuzeto Ablakwa, has announced that the temporary closure of its embassy in the Washington, D.C. is following allegations of widespread corruption and abuse of office at the diplomatic mission. Ablakwa, who disclosed this on Monday, explains that the closure is part of, quote, efforts to finalize the ongoing restructuring and systems overhaul after a special audit team uncovered a long-running fraudulent scheme at the embassy. He described the move as regrettable but necessary to restore integrity and accountability to Ghana's diplomatic operations. At the center of the scandal is Fred Kwateng, a local locally recruited IT staff member employed in August of 2017 who admitted to creating an unauthorized link on the embassy's website. The link redirected visa and passport applicants to his private firm, Ghana Travel Consultants, where they were charged unapproved fees ranging from $29.75 to $60. These payments, which were not sanctioned by the ministry or Parliament under the Fees and Charges Act, went directly into Kwarteng's personal account. Investigations suggest the scheme had operated undetected for at least 5 years. The matter has been referred to the Attorney General for possible prosecution and recovery of misappropriated funds. Well, that is it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. You can check back a little later at 9 o'clock for today's full bulletin. But for now, stay in touch by following us across our social media platforms. Visit our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news stories. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time.